Hey everybody, welcome back to BobkeTV and a recap of stage number 12 of the Vuelta, and a wild affair it was. On paper, it looked pretty straightforward. In the Vuelta, a stage like this, generally, when the GC is in clear focus, which it is, Chris Froome, absolutely dominant, at least thus far. Get to that in a second. And in these stages, generally a breakaway is successful, assuming that none of the riders in the overall standings, who are within 5-10 minutes even, which was the case in this particular breakaway, it gets a chance for the stage win. Thomas Marcinski took his second chance from the breakaway to win a stage and was successful in both attempts. So great riding by Marcinski. He gave Lotto Soudal their second Grand Tour stage win, none during the Tour de France. Andre Greipel not at his best and unable to get any stages. The whole team in the Tour did not win a single stage. And so Marcinski delivering for the Lotto Soudal squad. But behind Marcinski was serious drama throughout the day. It started with the crash by Julien Duval of the AG2R squad from the breakaway. Oh, man, usually when you're in the breakaway, you have a pretty good idea of the roadway and don't oftentimes see crashes out of the riders in the break. But also the second crash that we saw, Brendan Canty in the breakaway also, he crashes over the barrier, incredibly dramatic, trying to chase back to Marcinski, who was long gone down the road and was the strongest rider from the breakaway. And then Contador attacks, and that was absolutely brilliant to see Alberto on the move again, putting pressure on Chris Froome. He went with Nico Roche. Nico Roche got dropped, and Contador continued attacking. But even on the uphill, an overexcited fan that was running next to Alberto Contador was shoved to the ground by an overzealous policeman, Civil Guardia, and I'm not sure exactly what their role is in Spain. It seems like they are on the climbs to monitor the spectators' behavior and make sure everybody is safe and out of the way. But if that's your job description, you should not probably push riders, excuse me, push spectators into the riders that are climbing and the support vehicles. That's exactly what happened. Spectator took out the neutral motorcycle. And if you can imagine if that would have happened just a few moments later when the group of contenders went coming up the hill, and if that spectator was pushed into a group of cyclists climbing at the end of a hard stage, you can imagine the chaos. And if you can plow into a motorcycle and take them down, just imagine what would have happened to a bunch of climbers at the end of a stage of the Vuelta. So absolutely insane. And Contador didn't see any of that, just kept on attacking all the way to the finish. His teammate, Edward Toons, came back from the breakaway, and those two guys went absolutely flat out to the finish. And Contador put big pressure on the chasers. There's no doubt about that. And Chris Froome himself, following his teammates, crashed once, had to get a bike change, starts chasing, he's by himself, crashes again. At that point, there was only two Sky Riders left, Walter Poels and Mikel Nieve, and they tried to pace Chris back to the group that contained Nibali and Esteban Chavez and all the other GC contenders, except Alberto Contador, who was up the road. And it does beg the question, should the group have continued should they have waited for Chris Froome? I don't see how they could have. You're just, 10 kilometers from the finish, most of it downhill, chasing a rider in the top 10 overall who's already gone on the attack. There's no way to expect Contador to wait. That's not going to happen. That wouldn't even have been a sporting gesture, really. So expecting Nibali to wait, no, and the Astana riders, Fabio Aru, who's in the top 10, Miguel Angel Lopez, who's in 10th, 1 place behind Alberto Contador. No way they can give Contador more time. And Contador eventually prized out over 40 seconds, just over 40 seconds, to Chris Froome, who chased as best he could. In my estimation, it could have been much more catastrophic for Froome. And to lose only 20 seconds to his main rivals, Chavez and Nibali, was pretty impressive. And not to have been hurt, much worse. And so I'll ask everybody, should the group in front of Chris, who he was with, should they have waited for the leader of the Vuelta? It seems like it's a part of cycling that is slowly dying out, the gentleman's agreement where the leader of a Grand Tour is not attacked if they have a mechanical mishap or a crash. I've been pretty candid about believing it's a race. Bad luck can happen to anybody at any time. There would be some circumstances, although I haven't seen them recently, whereby you would wait for the leader. But in the finale, when everybody's racing flat out for the best placing they can on each stage, just race. A lot less confusing, and luck has a way of favoring the most prepared. I'll just leave it at that, and you guys can share in the comment section what you believe. A Katusha rider, Maxime Bellof, who was a long ways down and just climbing at a very steady tempo to make the time limit. A spectator came out of the crowd, knocked him down, pushed him over. It's been reported that the individual is cognitively challenged, I believe is the politically expedient way of expressing that. And it's just incredibly bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen that whereby a rider was so randomly pushed down by anybody. And I think everybody can chill out. Accidents happen. I believe this is an accident. Nobody got hurt. Belkov was upset, went to social media to try to identify the person. But come on, that's just, I think you just have to turn the page on that. And let's hope that that bad luck doesn't happen, doesn't befall any of the other cyclists. And I think we can all just firm up a little bit and expect that on the open road, unforeseen things will happen, and just accept them sometimes and learn from them. All right. I don't know. I think I'm trying to think how I would have handled it if I was in Maxime Belkov's shoes, excuse me. In my era, there was not social media. If I was in my, all of my teammates can most certainly corroborate. If we had social media, my career would have lasted anywhere from 11 to 13 minutes. So, but I would hope that I would be as magnanimous as I could be and accept the bad luck of the open road and keep on trucking, especially if I was capable of doing that, which Belkov was able to remount and get to the finish line, and we'll start tomorrow. Which begs the question, on tomorrow's third day for the sprinters, out of 4 total, who is going to win? I'm going to guess Matteo Trentin. Who do you think is going to win? Till tomorrow. Thanks a lot, everybody.